And welcome back to the Legislative Lounge. I am your host, Natebige, and my co-host, Professor Mike. How we doing, Professor Mike?
We are fantastic. I finally have a day off work.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering. Because you were at the gym at a pretty weird time.
6 days, 6 days a week.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, taking a look at a few things this week. I'm not echoing or anything, am I?
No, you're good.
All right, cool. We've got a little bit of movement, a little bit of traction this week. I thought it was a little bit of a slow week, but taking a look over what's been going on, we've had some big movements in the Supreme Court. We have some movements going on right now in Congress, especially around the big beautiful bill, as they named it. And so we're gonna dive a little bit into it. Mike, where do we want to start, though? I mean, a lot of good stuff.
Honestly, we could start with the nationwide injunctions that was ruled on by the Supreme Court. That was huge.
Absolutely.
You and I both made videos on that. Basically, for those of you that don't know, since 1963, according to Justice Clarence Thomas, nationwide injunctions have been just gaining popularity as a metric or a tool for federal district courts to stifle any movement by any president, regardless of party, as far as executive orders or executive decisions. Knowing full well that they are operating outside of their jurisdiction or judiciary authority, detailed in Article 3 of the United States Constitution. And the Supreme Court basically said, yeah, stop that.
So, yeah, this is a big issue. Sorry, I was reading something that was coming through on that topic, is the fact that, there has been so many of these injunctions that it's crazy to see that nobody has fought against a president as hard as this administration in the history. Like, what is 120 injunctions is I believe is what it is to up to total.
It was a lot. It was more. We had more injunctions, nationwide injunctions at the federal district level against President Trump and his executive orders, more than Joe Biden, Bush, and Obama combined.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw that that stat line there. I was like, that is absolutely insane to think that that I don't even know how to put it into words how that's even possible, honestly. And yet they want to sit here and they want to say that these judges aren't rogue, that they're not going outside of their purview, that they're following the Constitution, all this other jazz. In all reality, it's like, are they though?
It's quite ridiculous. So with the nationwide injunctions being basically kicked to the curb, all of them, and this ruling was actually, or this opinion was written by 𝗬𝗓𝗧𝗧. So kudos for her for siding constitutionally for
Finally doing what she's supposed to do.
Yeah. Let's see.
But I mean, in regards to that whole situation, it's like I'm wanting to know what Congress is going to do about these individual, rogue federal judges that continuously to step outside of their purview. Now that, especially now that we know that it's already been ruled by the Supreme Court that they don't have the actual room or capacity or power to do what they're doing, honestly. So then it begs the question of the bill that's been held up in the Senate, the NORA Act, or No Rogue Rulings Act is how it is, I believe. That is that will stop all these universal injunctions, as they name them, and get rid of them completely. So it's like it's been sitting up there on John Thune's desk since April. I don't know why the hell he hasn't brought it to the floor.
In this ruling, 𝗬𝗓𝗧𝗧 acknowledged arguments that the universal injunction gives the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, but federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given them. When a court concludes that the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power to.
Right.
That's pretty clear.
I mean, I mean, one of those major ones is also another win for Donald Trump. And I don't believe we mentioned it last week because I think it just came in this week as well. Was a whole issue with the birthright citizenship, right? Now, the birthright citizenship itself hasn't been ruled on yet by the Supreme Court. That'll be, I believe, it's set up for July sometime. However, there was a particular portion of that order that gave Trump the ability to continue to move on. Wait, no, this is the same thing.
Yeah.
It is the same bill. So,
So
or the ruling, I should say.
so what the court did was they focused primarily on the nationwide injunctions or universal injunctions, whatever you want to call them, and it was the injunctions that held up the birthright citizenship.
Right, and that was my point, is the fact that now he'll be able to move forward with all of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And getting rid of, and a lot of people, you see the leftists freaking out about this too, right? Even prior to this ruling, but especially now that the Supreme Court's already laid it out, something we've been telling them for months, saying that they don't have the right to do this. But it's the fact that they think that this is they're gonna just start deporting random babies and stuff like. No, this is not. This is here forward.
Yes.
Right.
It was supposed to go into effect in March of this year for children that are born, March 2025 and later. And
Right.
President Trump actually came out with a statement after this ruling and said, the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship, as it is stated, was given to children of slaves back in 1868, right? It wasn't meant to be wide-ranging and misused like this to, for children that are born of people who aren't supposed to be here in the first place. Like when it comes to illegal aliens, that's a jurisdictional conflict.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, if people only understood the actual history of the 14th Amendment and the fact that has been misused for decades after decades, they would understand like where we're coming from. But a lot of people just read it for what it is and or what it says is without understanding the context of the meaning behind it, because that was argued in Congress by the author himself. Now, is a lot of co-sponsors on it, obviously, just like any other bill. However, the main author, Representative Bingham out of Ohio, when the 14th Amendment originally went in, he spoke about how this does not apply to any individual from outside of our country coming in. He explicitly said it in his arguments and on the House floor when this was being discussed, and he has writings about it. It's all in congressional record, but yet people don't want to acknowledge that. They just say anybody born here. No, it's not anybody who's born here. The actual author of the 14th Amendment explicitly said it's not for people that are foreign.
Well, the thing is like when we're talking about jurisdiction, right? We're not talking about United States jurisdiction solely. We're talking about jurisdiction as it relates to Article 2 and Article 3, right? When it comes to natural citizens and then naturalized citizens, we fall under Article 3 court proceedings, right? We are solely under the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, when it comes to legal immigrants, right? Legal immigrants, visa holders, green card holders, work visas, they fall under a mix of Article 2 and Article 3. So if they were to commit a crime, they'd be charged under Article 3, and then depending on what parameters, if they violated the terms of their contract, they would be deported after they served their penance. Now, illegal immigrants or illegal aliens fall solely under the jurisdiction of Article 2, right?
Right.
And they are immediately deported. And if they commit a crime, then you have an extradition issue, right? Mm-hmm. And that's subject to international law. Right. There's so much nuance to this, and it's black and white. I mean, honestly, so it's a little bit of nuance. It's mostly black and white. It's written right there in the Constitution. People just don't like to read, as you and I have pointed out for years now.
Or they only like to contextualize things when it suits their narrative, right?
Well,
We know that that's the left.
yeah, it's. I mean, people are so stupid that over the weekend after this ruling came out, they were like, "Oh, they ruled on birthright citizenship," and this is on the left and the right. They ruled on birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship is now not a thing anymore. No, they didn't rule on it. You
Right.
just don't know how to read. You just keep going with your leftist media narratives and your leftist sources. Go with the legislation. Go with the rulings by the SCOTUS.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, another major kind of staying on the same topic of the Supreme Court, Mike, I don't know if you heard, but they actually ruled today, or well, not ruled, but confirmed today that they're actually going to be taking up a case that's a Republican challenge that could absolutely change the outcomes of our or the way that our U.S. elections are conducted. Because what it is they're taking up the challenge to U.S. campaign finance restrictions that will limit the amount of money that political parties can spend on behalf of a certain candidate.
That's beautiful.
That is massive.
That is beautiful. And for all of you that want to read into this, you can go on the SCOTUS blog. SCOTUS blog has a list of cases that the Supreme Court has taken up, and it provides like the most up-to-date information on what they're looking at as far as their docket for 25-26 term. And this, what Nate's talking about is this major case on campaign finance regulations. The Supreme Court today agreed to revisit its 2001 ruling in Federal Election Commission v. Colorado Republican Federal Campaign Committee, in which the justices upheld federal limits on coordinated campaign expenditures, which restrict political parties from spending money on campaign advertising with input from political candidates.
Right, and in this particular case, it's kind of it's connected to that, but it is the National Republican Senatorial Committee that's challenging the FEC right now.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it centers on whether federal limits on the campaign spending by political parties run afoul of free speech protection under the First Amendment of the Constitution as well. So it's going to be a pretty interesting case. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, definitely get familiar with it. And so just so you know, it's basically the National Republican Senatorial Committee v. Federal Election Commission, if you want to go read it.
And this is good, especially for like if this limits the amount of money that can be spent federally on one candidate, that opens the door for more candidates to be competitive.
Right. Right. And I mean, we all know even in our two-party system, right? The Democrats far outspend the Republicans nationally on from the House to the Senate to the presidency. Like, we just know that. I mean, they get more donations, they spend more. But yet we continue to win in a lot of different areas when we don't have to. And this will definitely affect the outcomes because a lot of these people are getting propaganda spewed to them by the left. Like, we already know that. I mean, how many times did we see just complete garbage? Like, I don't even have cable, man, and I still have to watch political ads on freaking Hulu and Netflix and all this crap, man. I'm tired of seeing how many times, oh, Donald Trump's the worst person in the world. I'm tired of it, man.
Let's see.
But
there was another one that the Supreme Court ruled on, and it's pretty big, and I think it came out of Texas.
The Supreme Court, Texas?
I'm sorry, no. So the court allows this Texas law for age verification, for adult websites.
Porn. We can just say it. Yeah. Right. Here in the state of Texas, they put an age restriction where you have to now I only know this because I read it.
Verify.
I read it. Hold up. I don't want people to be like, Nate's out here watching porn because he knows how the system works. No, I read it. I read an article about it. What they're requiring you to do is when you go to these very well-known porn sites, something pops up talking about the law here, and it talked about, you need to create an account to verify. So you'd have to use your driver's license or something, like an image like you do with business or whatnot. So yeah. And they used a particular site They showed the image in the article. That's how I know what it looks like.
I'm waiting for Mimi to pop up in the background. Like, what are you watching?
No, not without
Yeah,
her.
but
I mean,
Nate's 100% right. And it was really a BS case to begin with. Like these adult website providers tried to bring this as a First Amendment case, which no. Like, if we have verification for all kinds of systems, and
right.
this, I mean, I'd be 100% fine if we banned all porn.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely something that can be addictive, and there's actually a scientific study that it actually affects the brain development to the point where it actually makes you stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just that. You have the social aspect. It destroys relationships.
Oh yeah.
It incentivizes hookup culture. It devalues family structures, and it devalues your value as a person.
But I mean, in all reality as well, too, it like from a perspective of women, right? A lot of women are like, "Oh, don't sexualize me," but then you have porn, and it's widely pushed out there, right? But then it gets into the minds of women across, with regardless of, they could be somebody sitting there with spouting off into a megaphone saying, "Don't sexualize us," while wearing a string bikini and all this other stuff.
These are the same women that say, "Don't sexualize me," but I'm at the gym and I'm wearing this tightest freaking spandex where my ass is eating my pants.
Or they're at the beach wearing literally strings around their ass cheeks.
I haven't been to the beach in years, but I can concur.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous to sit here. Or they're out here making videos of like twerking and doing all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, you're doing a great job not sexualizing yourself.
Yeah, I bet your parents are proud. I bet actually majority of them are parents, so I bet your kids are proud.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine being a kid and like your mom's a model of that type?
Right. I mean, I've seen so many, like there's this like there's a girl that does a podcast now. She's a huge OF person, I guess, right? Which is basically porn. If y'all ain't familiar with it. And her little brother was like affected personally. Like there was colleges that like, he went on her podcast, like pissed off about it, was talking to her about it. It's like, your life affects me. Like I got denied from colleges because of the crap that you do. Not that that's okay. I don't think that's absolutely wrong. Like he has control over a sister. I mean, come on. But in all reality, it does affect not only your image, but your image of your family.
100%. And Justice Clarence Thomas was completely correct in this. The power to require age verification is within a state's authority to prevent children from accessing sexually explicit content. I mean, we have age verification for sites on the internet. We have age verification for movies in theaters. Like, what are we doing?
Right. The sad thing is there's still ways around it, even here in Texas. And I mean, if a kid's smart, he'll figure it out. But honestly, I absolutely think that's,
honestly, as you and I know, that's a parental issue. And if your child is accessing that, you're a failure as a parent.
Yeah, for sure. But I know that there's been a lot of movement in the Senate as well, or well, Congress in general, right, Mike?
Yeah, they're the big beautiful bill advanced in the Senate. It's going to be voted on soon. There's been
ironing out the details.
There's been a couple of amendments. There was an amendment proposed by Schumer. We don't have the details of that yet.
Right.
But once it's voted on in the Senate and it passes, if it passes, then it goes back to the House for approval, and it shoots up to President Trump to sign into law.
Right.
And it's a very controversial bill. There's people like Harry Sisson who makes the claim that it's going to make $1 trillion worth of healthcare cuts, which it doesn't do.
No. I think Medicare. Medicare budget is only at like 880,000 billion right now. So it's like, how could it be $1 trillion?
And then, well, a lot of people like to cite section 14422 or 14122, one of those. But honestly, what it does healthcare wise is it makes it harder to defraud the healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it harder. So it reduces the back coverage from 90 to 30 days. So it's putting in place metrics that'll end up saving just this one section $200 million.
You know what's funny about all of this, Mike, is the fact that there hasn't been a single cut to Medicare yet. Because even if this, because this pure and simple fact that this bill hasn't passed yet, right? Up to this point, the legislation for the funding of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, that's already been done, right? They're currently working off the prior one that they completed. However, I did a video on a guy just 2 days ago. He's out here, oh, Donald Trump, and they took my Social Security. No way. Oh, this bill is terrible. Like, bro, the bill hasn't even passed yet. And nothing Trump or anybody in Congress. So I'm defending the Democrats right now too, guys. Nothing that Congress or the president's done has affected your Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. If something's affecting it, it's because the system, you got to do something. Like it's awful. The funding's already there for it. Like the funding we're talking about in this bill is for the future forward.
Well, even this healthcare aspect doesn't go into effect until December 31st, 2026.
Right.
Like that. I don't know if y'all could do math. That's a year and a half out.
It's wild to see it, but there was some changes that I did see in it. I know that they were trying to remove the, like on the Medicare specifically, remove migrants from it. And they did a vote not about 2 hours ago that failed. So they're literally like, I don't know what they're going to do about that. They got to go back to it. But the parliamentarian changed the vote requirement to 60 from 51 at the last minute prior to that vote. So they're literally allowing migrants to receive Medicare that they haven't paid into.
Well, I'm
at
curious. So the issue with that is with 𝗬𝗪𝗏, right? By law, regardless of your citizenship status, we have to at least triage you when you seek care. And then, like, I understand, but I also want clarification on what classification of migrants. Right? And I want to know, like, under what constitutional authority does one have in the Senate to change the voting requirement to simple majority to 60?
Right. Especially if I ain't gone through the filibuster and need a cloture vote. Like, none of that happened. By rule of the Supreme Court, or I mean, sorry, the Senate and how the process goes. If it's filibuster, then yes, to break the filibuster and move forward, they need a 60 vote. But that didn't happen.
So it goes to show that, like, when it comes to our representatives in government, that we need to start instituting a constitutional comprehension test.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have stupid people as representatives and senators and in executive offices, both on the left and the right, that are just constitutionally illiterate.
And I mean, to put this in perspective for everybody, why we're making a big to-do about the migrants, right, is they use the little pretty word migrant rather than illegal alien, which is what about 6 hours ago, the White House actually put out a statistic saying that if this passes, 1.4 million illegals would be kicked off of Medicare. That means 4.1 million people that are illegal, that never paid into Medicare, taking your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and everybody else's tax dollars that pays in for things that they shouldn't be receiving.
Mm-hmm. It's it calls into question, like, who voted no on this? And if it's a if a Republican voted no on this, like, I want you primaried.
I mean, and this is what I don't get, right? There's people in the comments of a post about it, right? Saying the Senate won today. It's a good day for America. Huh? How is that a good thing for America? Because we're fronting the bill for 1.5 million people that never paid a dime into it. This is the level of retardation we deal with.
Oh, it's like, it's on the same level of Jasmine Crockett. You know, entering in the country illegally is not a crime. But violating 8 U.S. Code 1325 apparently is not a crime, according to the lawyer Jasmine Crockett.
Right. Now, I know, I mean, kind of getting off of the hot topic there, but like there's been some more movement within this bill. This hasn't been confirmed because they haven't released the actual information on it, guys. So take it with, but it is being, I know a big thing part of the bill was the no tax on tip, right? Everybody knew about that.
No tax on tips, no tax on overtime,
right,
no
right.
tax on car interest loans.
Yeah, but in regards to the no tax on tips specifically, prior to it getting to the Senate, there was no limitation. However, from what it sounds like, is that Senate is actually making, they're putting in some caps there, deduction caps.
Of course,
1,200, 12,500 if you file single, and then 25,000 if you file jointly. So it's still good in the end for millions of Americans. However, it does make it a little bit different. Like if you make over 150,000 or 300,000 for joint, your deduction goes down $100 for every $1,000 over the deduction limit.
For the overtime and whatnot.
No, for tax on tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So if we look at, like, statistically, majority of tipped individuals are not making anywhere close to that.
Well, I mean, you get into, but at the same time, if you're filing joint with your husband, your spouse, or something, and they might have a good job, or you work, both of you guys work in a high end, like, restaurant in bougie Malibu or New York City or something like that, like they can make 150,000. I mean, there are places. It's not common because we think of people that get tips as the local Applebee's waitress or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at simple majority, which when this passes, because I have high hopes that this will pass.
Oh yeah, it will. It's just a matter of when.
People really need to start looking into the IRS tax code and balancing what avenue would be the best route in regards to if you're a tipped employee. So invest a little bit of time and money into a good CPA.
Right, absolutely.
There was another Supreme Court ruling.
Oh, really?
And it was a win for parents.
Hey.
So the court allows parents to opt their children out of school lessons involving LGBTQ plus themes.
The fact that needs to even be ruled on is absolutely ludicrous, which is why my children have never went to a regular school. They've always been homeschooled. And that's why one of the main reasons we moved to Texas, because there's no regulation on it here.
And this was a majority of these rulings were a 6-3 vote. Obviously, 6 conservative justices, 3 liberal justices. I really want to. There we go. Sonia Sotomayor dissented opinion, joined by Justices Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Sotomayor warned that Friday's decision threatens the very essence of a public education because it strikes at the core premise of public schools that children may come together to learn not the teachings of a particular faith, but a range of concepts and views that reflect our entire society. I'm sorry. What you do in the bedroom with your significant other, whether it's a, he, or a she, or a he, or a he, like that has no place in a public school.
None.
Like, sorry, not sorry. What you stick up your hoo-ha is none of my concern.
And it's, thank God today is the last day that we have to hear this BS. I'm so tired of hearing the whole LGBTQ plus AZ divided by 4, whatever people. I'm so tired of hearing about it and like, oh, it's celebration of who we are. No, you're talking about what you like to stick inside you. That's literally all it is.
100%. And me personally, I am not a Christian, contrary to popular belief. I am a follower of Christ, which means something different than the, colloquial accepted term of Christian. For me, Christianity and what it's devolved into is a watered down version of the actual word, right? We have a misinterpretation over hundreds of years of English translated bullshit. If you want to actually read the word, you need to go back to the Greek text and the Hebrew text to actually understand what they're saying. And when you get there, when you understand, everything will become clear. You'll understand that, some people are not God's people. Matthew chapter 26.
I'm not sure about that one.
But this isn't a faith-based thing. Like, children in school, like, not being exposed to the 𝗦𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧, like, that has nothing to do with faith. That has nothing to do with Christianity. That has nothing to do with Judaism. That has nothing to do with Islam. That has to do with protecting children from your bullshit.
Right. And I mean, we've got so many friends that are part of the LGB, right? They can't stand the TQ divided by 4 people, right? They can't stand them.
Well,
because
the parades have gotten out of control.
Well, they've completely even bastardized their beliefs, which is even weird to believe in the first place, because we have our beliefs and what we know from the word and all that, and it's just you take that and then I don't know how you take that and bastardize it, but they've figured it out somehow to the point where the LGB can't even stand them. It's like, how do you even do that? Like, the core roots you've annoyed.
Well, like, I made a video and it caused a lot of controversy. Lost some friends. I said, this celebration is a celebration of sin. I'm not targeting individuals. The celebration itself, where you're exposing yourself in parade fashion format to children and the society, the public, that's a celebration of sin.
Mm-hmm.
That is bullshit. That needs to be canceled.
Right. Absolutely. Like I say, we're tired of hearing it. We don't care what you like to stick in yourself. Okay. I'm not here to judge you, right? Like, I in that manner, because I don't care. I personally don't agree with it for spiritual reasons, and I have scripture to go along with that. But I'm not gonna sit here and chastise my friends for it. Like, I've got friends that are a part of the LGBT, and I've even got some T friends too. Like, but they're not of like the crazies and stuff like that. But
I don't care. You're above the age of 18. Do what you want.
Right.
But
leave kids alone.
Like, yeah, leave the kids alone. It's like shit, I lost my train of thought.
My bad.
But man, I really lost my train of thought. I need to go to sleep.
I mean, it's just a societal down. Like, any great nation, right, or empire throughout history has, before their downfall, became obsessed with their sexuality.
Yeah, 100%. What happened at Stonewall, what these, this group of individuals fought for, right? The parades, how they started, the celebrations of what they fought for, started out as, acceptable.
Or is the fact that, I mean, what they were really fighting for is the fact that, people were literally physically attacking them because of the way that and that was the primary reason they marched, right?
Mhm.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with you attacking somebody because they like to be with the same sex or whatever, right? Like, like I say, I don't personally agree with the LGBT, right, and that lifestyle, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go attack them
No,
physically or verbally. Like, that's just wrong.
we had a great friend of ours on this very podcast when we first started. Ant.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
One of
love
the
Ant.
greatest,
Ant's my homie.
one of the greatest individuals that has come up in conservative, influence,
Yeah.
right?
And his husband's awesome if you haven't met him.
And what he's done for multiple states as far as providing support for the community, with the what was that,
Fundraising,
Jackson, Mississippi, where they had that water issue. Like, he was a big help in that. Like, you have people in the LGB that are amazing individuals, our friends. It's where you have the extreme side where it starts to cause problems.
Right.
Where they make their, what they stick up their hoo-ha and their exit port, all their entire identity.
Well, yeah. And I mean, there's a perfect example of it, right? There was a video I was just watching. I think it was last night, actually. So this is perfect timing, where a guy was going out and he was asking people, what do they think is the most important thing in a relationship, right? Didn't specify what kind, just said a relationship between two people. Financial or communication were the two options, right? And this lady, he asked a group of ladies, and the first thing she said was, I'm a lesbian married to a woman, and kept walking. And we're like, what does that got to do with anything about the question? Do you guys not communicate or have financial discussions even in your lesbian whatever relationship? And there was a stitch of it, and the guy's like, this is the problem with these people. They have made it so much about their sexuality that they can't even compute basic relational questions, right? Like, it's almost as if they don't think that their relationships function the same as anybody else, or it just completely bypassed them mentally, to the point where, like, they can't even rationalize simple questions about relationships. They've got to make it about their sexuality, about I'm with a woman. Nobody asked you that. Do you not communicate with that woman? Do you not have financial conversations with that woman?
It's like that video I mentioned earlier that I made, where I said that that format is a celebration of sin, and some people take it as I'm targeting them. I'm calling them sinful. I'm attacking their husband. Like, no, you're just an idiot.
I mean, in all reality, I'm not attacking, right? But if you are, like, I've met a lot of the LGBTQ plus blah 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 that claim to be Christian, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, in the book of John, it talks about how we should judge righteously those in the church, and then in the book of 1 Corinthians, Paul also talks about what have I to judge those outside of the church? I judge those in the church. So if you claim to be Christian, it also talks about being accountable to one another, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, you call me out for it. Well, not call me out. That kind of sounds bad, but like, be there and say, hey, this is against God. This is against the Bible. Just, an F5, my brother. So I have no problem saying, if you claim that you're Christian, right, and you're also part of the LGBTQ plus blah 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 blah, we need to have a conversation, guys. Like, heart to heart. I know that's your walk with God, but I also want you to know that I love you. I've got problems too, but I don't put it out there to the world at the same time, you know. So it's
and it's
people
not
want
just sexuality. Like the church is made for the community to be tight knit and to lift each other up and to be a support network. And it's not just sexuality that we bring to one's attention. You bring to one's attention financial issues or behavioral issues, alcoholism, PTSD. Anything that could detract from the righteous path, as as laid out by the word.
Right. Well, but I don't know. It's one of those touchy subjects, but honestly, you have to have a room full of adults to have the conversation. In all reality,
100%. You have to sideline your emotions to have that conversation, and majority of people can't do it. Like there's a lot of our Christian friends that don't agree with us, and that's fine. That's fine. We're just gonna have to disagree. And we'll find out, what's at the end of the road when we take our last breath.
Right. And kind of moving off of that, though, it was just released, the vote count for what we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
In regards to the removing illegals from Medicare benefits, right? It came down to a 56-50 to 44 vote, which means that there were some Democrats that voted for it, saying, yes, get them off there. But of course, we have the rhino herself, Susan Collins out of Maine, voting no. Now, Trump's already forced a senator into retirement just yesterday because he said he was going to be primarying him and finding a candidate. This is how much power Trump has in the political realm now, guys. Like, you don't understand. Like, if you screw around and you don't do what you're supposed to do, you gonna get replaced. And I can't remember his name if you do, Mike, but it was a senator, a gentleman, out of South Carolina, I believe. It's the other. It's not Lindsey Graham, but the other one. And yeah, he after Trump had ranted about having him removed and primarying him out on True Social, it was like 2 hours later he said, "I'm not running for re-election."
Tom Tillis.
Yeah, Tillis. There we go. And he's from South Carolina, right? Or North? North Carolina. Yeah, as I say, it's North. Now it hit me. So Susan Collins, she needs to be replaced.
Guess who is gonna run for Tom Tillis' seat?
Oh, please tell me somebody good.
Laura Trump.
Yeah, yeah, buddy.
Like,
I love it.
Y'all fucked up the country so bad that the Trump family is getting into politics. Like,
I'm gonna tell you right now, mark my words, one of the Trump sons will be the president. I personally think it'll be Barron. But I know a lot of people have been talking about Don Jr., but I just don't really see that happening.
I think Eric Trump is more in tune with the company.
Yeah.
Don Jr. I think Don Jr. would be a candidate for VP. Maybe like VP for Vance. But Barron's on a whole nother level. And I think we have like a decade.
Yeah, we still got a while. He's got to be 35, and he's only like 20, something like that. 19, 20.
We'll come back in 20 years and we'll give you an update.
But still, I promise y'all, you will see him at least run for president. Just watch. Mark my words, on June 30th, 2025, in 15 years, that man will run for president.
I don't know if he's I think he's just maybe just turned 18, or is he 20?
No, he was 19. I just don't know if he's had a birthday since the last time I saw he was 19.
Well, and June 30th, 2040, we'll come back.
Okay, he's just turned 19 in March.
Okay, so 2041 we'll come back.
Oh, Lord. But I mean, I'm so sick of seeing Republicans claim to be Republican, like Susan Collins. Like, I'm proud of the Mitch McConnells and the Lisa Murkowskis, who are typically swing voters, not actual Republicans. Stand with the Republicans on something that affects every American, because anybody that looks at this should be pissed. Anybody that pays taxes should be pissed, because these are illegals. Illegals don't pay taxes, guys. They don't pay taxes because they wouldn't have the status of illegal at that point. And a lot of people are like, oh, they do pay taxes. They go get an EIN. No, they have to go through the proper channels to get status to stay here in order to get that EIN. So by definition, legal definition, they're no longer illegals at that point. They're just migrants going through the process.
What do they call illegals? They call illegal aliens undocumented immigrants. If you have an EIN number, you are no longer undocumented. It's such a silly concept. Like, it's such a simple concept. It's silly. Like, it just shows you the brain rot that is among the liberal crowd.
Lord have mercy. Like, I'm just...
the Supreme Court did add 7 new cases today for its docket in 2025-2026 terms. Let's see if I can find it. That one that you're talking about. Cox Communications v. Sony Music Entertainment. The justice will weigh in on the question of responsibility for copyright infringement on the internet. These are very important cases, it looks like. 𝗬𝗓𝗧 Orellana v. Bondi. The justice will decide how much deference courts of appeals should give to a determination by the Board of Immigration Appeals that an individual seeking asylum has not to be prosecuted. So then we have Enbridge Energy v. Nessel. The court took up a case that arises from efforts by Michigan's Attorney General, Dana Nessel, to shut down an underwater pipeline owned and operated by Enbridge that runs between the state's upper and lower peninsulas. Nessel filed the case in state court in 2019. In December 2021, Enbridge sought to move the case to federal court. When that motion was denied, Enbridge appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit, which ruled that the company had sought to transfer the case too late. So the Supreme Court will be looking at that. That's interesting.
Now, there is one kind of like moving into what everybody wants to know about is, something that affects all of our pocketbooks, is, according to the left, right, is the stock market. Something that we haven't revisited in a minute, honestly. But
did it crash yet?
We should take a look at it today.
Did it crash yet?
Oh.
Did we hit records?
That's yeah. We definitely hit records. When it comes to last Friday, the S&P and NASDAQ hit record highs.
Nate, it's supposed to crash.
I know. I keep having leftists on my comments saying, "Oh, just wait." I'm like, how long I gotta wait?
I mean, shit. We got 14 days until the tariffs,
right? For the when it comes to the whole trade deals, right? We told you guys, once we get closer, we're gonna before we hit that mark, it's gonna be where it was prior to the whole tariff situation, and then it's gonna skyrocket because you're gonna see all these trade deals. And guess what happened? Right, the other day, people were freaking out because they're like, "Oh my God, Trump stopped all conversations with Canada." I was like, just wait.
Well, Canada did something sneaky.
Give it a minute, though. Tell us what they did, though, first, though, Mike.
They imposed a tax on digital currency, I think. So, but they stopped doing that.
Yeah. I told people the other day when they were freaking out, they're like, "Oh my God, look what's happening." I'm like, give it a day or two. And guess what? Not even 24 hours later, you got Mark Carney waving the white flag. Uh-oh. Like I told you, you guys, you have to understand the buying power of the American dollar. When it comes to the global trade, Nobody can negotiate out of what we give them. Because if they do, their entire economy implodes. Not explode, but implodes, because it will absolutely tank on the inside and blow up. Especially a country like Canada, whose 76.4% of their exports are bought by us. 98% of their crude oil, which is their leading export, is bought by us.
Yep.
They can't function without us. And Trump knows that. And every president before Trump knew that. So they all could have done this. They didn't care to. So it's going to be fun over the next few weeks. July. What did we say, Mike? What did we say, Mike? By August, right?
Yep. We're going to see.
We are only what? It was the Dow was at what? 40,094. We're only 800, not even 800 points away from where we were prior to the tariffs.
I think it said 44,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's only 800. It's like 740 away from what it was prior to the tariff implementation.
So,
which is what we said.
We say it all the time. You and I, we're right a lot, and we're running out of conspiracy theories as well.
I've been telling people that, man. I've been telling people.
Like, I also want to publicly support AOC for running for president in 2028. I hope that I hope that they make her run.
Did you hear about her? So you know how she's the Bronx girl, right?
She's the Bronx girl, man.
She's the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx. I'm hood, yeah. In all reality, she grew up in Yorktown Heights, hour away from the Bronx. White as can be, Trump as can be.
Did you see her yearbook photo?
Nah, I didn't see that, but I didn't care enough.
Bruh. You can't claim to be hood when you wearing overalls. She
was a girl from a upper middle class, wealthier family, actually. It's not even middle class. She was from a wealthier family. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, so you're just Jasmine Crockett 2.0, but even worse, because at least, Jasmine Crockett isn't out here actually saying she's from the hood like you are.
She's Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett grew up in a white town, went to a private school, and her parents are rich as hell.
Man, so many Kamala Harris wannabes.
It's crazy, man.
Kamala Harris. I was a little girl sitting on a segregated bus. Bruh, California desegregated in 1950. You weren't even alive.
You know what? You were talking about a second ago, the whole conspiracy thing, right? We're running out of conspiracies. Well, another one just fell into place. Something that I and my wife and everybody like us have been saying for years. It says that Robert Kennedy, right, Jr., says that the CDC covered up an internal study, watch this, which found 1,135% increase in autism risk from hepatitis B vaccines. That's one vaccine study. One. And I've been telling you goofy goobers for years, the level of metal and toxicity of these vaccines is nowhere where they used to be, which is why you see skyrocketing autism rates. Because if you do a deep dive into autism, all it is a heavy metal toxicity in the brain. That's why when you see people with autism, you give them a heavy metal detox, they won't be all just cured overnight because it's brain damage, right? However, we did it with my sister, Mimi's brother. Mimi's brother, just so y'all know, like, I'm not talking like I don't have experience with this. Mimi's brother, my wife, has severe autism. Not just like he's almost nonverbal, almost, right? It's pretty bad. But we gave him had my mother-in-law run him through a heavy metal detox. His test scores and all that stuff that they run through the programs that they have in North Carolina where he's at right now went through the roof after I think it was 30 or 45-day detox. Been telling you guys. You can sit here and call us conspiracy theorists all you want.
For me, because when I was in the military, I was, like many others, was forced to get the COVID vaccine. I started researching into it, and I was like, I found some correlation, some evidence of some metal buildup, some clots, and I was like, how can I get rid of this? This is what I did. I'm no doctor, so I'm not going to recommend anybody do this, but this is what I did, right? I took a tablespoon of diatomaceous earth, and I put it in yogurt every day. Yep. And I never had one side effect. And what diatomaceous earth is, it's 90% silica, which is a honeycomb-like structure, and it scrapes out scrapes out mucus and detoxes your body. It allows your body to run more efficiently. There may have been a doctor by the name of 𝗬𝗧 that connected almost every illness to mucus buildup as well.
Right. Mucus buildup, gut health, for sure.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to do this because we don't give you medical instructions on the Legislative Lounge. We'll tell you what we tried.
Right. And we've seen results. Like, you have to understand how connected my wife is in the health and wellness community. She has people around the world that she talks to, scientists, researchers. So it's like, I'm not talking to just moms, but you should be, first of all. Honestly, those are going to be the people that know the best results, are the parents, the ones that are actually doing the work, like a detox, for example. They're going to be the first ones to notice that there's a change in their child. You could sit here and call it all you want. That's the problem with the medical community right now, is that they don't trust the parents. The parents are almost always right when it comes to their children because they have that parental innate. Well, it's just like it's almost like a nature thing. It's like inside them. They just know because
that intuition.
Yes, intuition. That was the one I was trying to say. But it's y'all need to start paying attention to these crazy non-vaxxers because we're turning out to be right. We're about to smack y'all with some truth because I'm a petty person and I'm the first one to say I told you so. I don't care. But anyways, over the next couple weeks, we're going to be seeing some huge movement with this bill. It will be passed. It has a deadline by Friday. So we'll definitely be talking about it next week. But tune in tomorrow in regards to the Legislative Lounge on Radio 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗧. And there's some news that Mike doesn't even know about it. But we found out last Tuesday that we are going on television. The Radio 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗧, we haven't announced what the new name is yet, but we are actually moving to a different part of town in Houston. And the wife of the radio host is world renowned. Actually, she's huge in the Bollywood sector. She's been in movies and all this other stuff. So she's getting us on TV. So we're gonna be on TV, guys. So tune in.
This ugly mug is going on TV.
We're going on TV.
Well, that's fantastic. That's about as fantastic as this new Alcatraz alien detention facility in Florida.
Oh yeah. Oh, everybody knows about that, though. But we're going to be on TV and even in India.
Wow.
Southeast Asia, Pakistan, all of it.
Thank you so much to Radio 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗧, for giving us this opportunity.
Absolutely. But thank you, guys. We love you guys. Join in with us next week, but take us home.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to America's greatest podcast, where we bring you the truth between the lines. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, and Twitch, and follow Natebige on TikTok, and my new account, ProfessorMike _ on TikTok. And we'll see you next time. God bless.